Recording in progress.
Thank you, Nicole. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see. We should be having more drainage meetings to get extra folks from our rural folks into the council chambers. You guys are always welcome anytime. You can come to this meeting anytime. And today as well, we're giving out checks for the Mayor's Golf. So I'd like to welcome everyone and call the meeting to order and ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councillor Dirksen.
It's item number 9B8, Clerk's Report 2024-011. Excuse me. Lease agricultural land request for quotations. And the reason is our son/family farm submitted a quote.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask anyone that's approaching the mic and going to the podium, please state your name and speak into the mic. So we have some folks around the town likes to watch these council meetings, and that's the biggest complaint that we have, that they can't hear. So if you would just do that, we would appreciate it. Got a resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Elliott, that the minutes of the town of Minto, September 17th, 2024 regular council meeting be approved. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. I have a resolution from Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that the town of Minto council convenes into committee of the whole. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. So we do have a public meeting today. It's a notice of the engineer's report for the municipal drain. I will be the chair of the meeting, and I will ask Clerk McRobb to outline the meeting, the purpose of this meeting.
Thank you. The purpose of the meeting is to consider the engineer's report prepared by Headway Engineering of Kitchener, Ontario, dated August 23rd, 2024, for drain number 120. Notices of the meeting were sent to 12 landowners along with the report. As well, copies of the report were circulated to town staff, Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Hydro One Networks, Enbridge Gas, and Wellington County. I would like to advise that I had no speakers registered to participate in the public meeting.
Thank you, Clerk McRobb. So now we'll move into the summary of the report, and we'll ask Michael Terzian to speak, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is microphone on?
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Michael Terzian. I'm from Headway Engineering, and I'm the project coordinator for this job. With me, I have Stephen Brickman. He's a project engineer, and I'll go through the presentation. If I could draw your attention to the screen, and Steve will be available for questions afterwards if necessary. Hopefully everybody could hear me well. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to present our summary on the municipal drain report for your consideration today. And again, I've got that presentation on the screen that I'll go through. So just to start off with the first slide, the authority of the report. Headway is appointed under Section 4 of the Drainage Act at the May 9th, 2023 council meeting. And that was for the construction of a new tile drainage system. Just to go over the project location, on the right, there's an image of basically the entire town of Minto. And the project is located basically just north of Palmerston on the south end of the town. The image to the left is an overall watershed view of the project. You can see Wellington Road 5 bisects the watershed with third line to the south. And we show Municipal Drain 5, which is an open ditch that serves as the outlet for the proposed drainage system. Our public engagements, we had two public engagements. The first one was an on-site meeting. We held that on June 27th, 2023. Excuse me. And we also had an information meeting where we presented the proposed design and the associated costs, as well as the distribution of those costs at the May 30th, 2024 meeting. After the on-site meeting and after we'd received some of the feedback from the landowners, we went ahead and did a survey and an investigation, and we've come up with a list of findings. So I'll just go through each of those. Basically, a new, deeper, sufficient outlet is required for several properties in the watershed. There are some lands outside the watershed that will be tiled into the watershed after the installation of the drain. There's some ponding on where there's large ponding areas on part of Lot 20, Concession 3. County Road 5 needs drainage. Municipal drain number 5, which I just alluded to earlier, will serve as an outlet for the new drainage system, and that is an open ditch system. There is a high pressure gas main on the east side of the county road that's located just off the road allowance on private property. The overall watershed area is approximately 68 hectares or 168 acres. It consists primarily of agricultural lands, woodlots, and some roads. And the watershed currently is served by only private tile drainage systems that aren't of sufficient capacity, depth, or size to serve the watershed at today's standards of drainage. I've just got some photos, some photos of some of the existing systems. These two show the proposed outlet into drain number 5. So basically on the left photo where you see that kink in the bend, or that bend in the ditch, is approximately where we'd be outletting this drain. The image to the right, which is not in the winter, you see a little bit more vegetation, but you could still see where those pads are in the water. That's approximately the location of the outlet. The next image just shows the existing catch basin on the downstream side of the county road. That's basically serving as the inlet for any surface waters coming off the road. That also serves as the connection to the private system from the county road to the existing ditch. Next, I have a list of just recommendations based on our findings. So we do recommend a new tile drainage system be installed from an outlet into drain number 5, which is just upstream of the bridge through the town of Minto walking path, if you're familiar with that location. And the drain will extend upstream approximately 1,144 meters to the property boundary between the Metzger and Pfeffer properties, or between lot 19 and lot 20, concession 3. We recommend the new tile drainage system consist of 350 millimeter diameter to 525 millimeter diameter concrete field tile. We also recommend a 600 millimeter diameter, or in other words, a 24-inch pipe, smooth wall steel casing to be installed through the county road allowance by means of the boring method. We also propose that no work be done in drain 5. We are proposing the outlet in it, but we believe no work is required to accommodate that new tile outlet. And we recommend the new tile drainage system be designed using a 38 millimeter per 24-hour drainage coefficient, or in other words, 1.5 inches per 24 hours. The next slide is just an overall watershed plan. It shows the orange dashed line kind of in the middle of the plan, shows the proposed alignment of the drainage system. The blue dashed line that shows the outline of the watershed area, which is determined by provincially available data. And then in some cases where the watersheds were questioned, we did go out and kind of do boots on the ground review of those areas and made any revisions that were necessary. The next slide just briefly talks about the estimated project costs. The total estimated cost is $315,900, and that does include all the allowances, all the construction costs, which included a good amount for provisional items, our engineering fees for meetings, correspondence, surveys, designs, and preparing the report and considering the report tonight, as well as environmental consultations, which were minimal for this project, but nevertheless form part of the cost. And also to prepare the contract documents, administration, and our supervision of inspection during construction are included in these costs, as well as any contingencies, interest, or net HSC charges towards the project. The pie chart on the left kind of breaks that down in terms of percentages. You can see construction basically forms 2/3 of the cost of the entire project, while the other third consists of the engineering, environmental, contract admin, allowances, and the contingencies. Just a quick summary of the breakdown of those costs in terms of assessment. On the right, we just break that down in terms of municipal lands, which will contribute about 34% of the total cost, or $106,410. Private non-agricultural lands will contribute about 4% of those costs, or about $12,500. And private ag lands, which will be the biggest contributor towards the costs, at about $190,000, or 60% of the total cost, while public utilities will be assessed about $7,300, or 2% of the total costs. If you add those numbers up, they should total $315,900. And then we just have a couple more photos just to show what the proposed drain or the installation is like. Some typical photos of a tile drain being installed by means of a wheel machine. So you can see the trench that the wheel machine is digging, and the machine, at least in the image to the left, the green wheel machine digging the trench while the excavator is placing the tile in the trench. And on the right is kind of a completed section with the joints wrapped and the tile set in place. The next set of images are just completed catch basins. So this is typically how we install our catch basins. We'll surround them with about 3 feet or 1 meter of riprap around the completed basin. The image on the right shows a road crossing. You can see a road pipe kind of outletting into that riprap. In this case, we will have something similar adjacent to Wellington County Road 5. And the next image is just an image of how smooth wall steel casing will be bored through the county road. So this is just kind of a typical setup using the jack and bore method of basically pushing that pipe through the county road. And I believe the last photo just consists of a working corridor after completion. We do have a 25-meter working corridor noted over top of the drain for construction purposes. After that, usually a mound is left over, and that's left to settle out over time, and the farmer does work it. This image kind of shows the result of the settling and the farmer working that, so you can see it kind of blends into the existing ground quite well, and this is how it should ideally look when the project is complete. That basically concludes my summary of our report on Drain 120, and myself and Steve will be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Okay, thanks, Michael. We'll go on to Ryan Binkley, our drainage superintendent. Any additional comments? Ryan, please.
No, I do not have any additional comments. I think Michael did a fantastic job.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any speakers wanting to speak? Any of the landowners interested in heading up to the mic? Okay. Then I'm going to call the council questions for further comments. Councillor Elliott.
I'm just wondering, was there a lot of ponding, and will this eliminate that even in a heavy rain or heavy flooding at snowfall?
There's I think the most significant amount of ponding as far as we know is just upstream of the county road. And by providing a new surface inlet there would help decrease that ponding on that property, as well as allowing them to tile that parcel of land into the drain, allowing some of that water that seeps into the ground to be directed to the municipal outlet on through the county road.
Good, thanks.
Welcome.
Other questions? I'm always interested in the communication between the engineer and the landowners. And sitting here watching you folks and no comments. Obviously, the communication has been good, and that's a good thing. Did I hear you say that the tile is big enough to handle 1.5 inches of rain per 24 hours? Is that what you said?
That's right. So the tile is sized to basically convey the volume of water from 1.5 inches applied to the watershed area over a 24-hour period. So that's kind of the current standard. Sorry, that's kind of the current standard as it is today. That's increased over time, where 60 years ago that standard was more like 1/2 inch, in some cases 1/4 inch. So over that 60 years, the standard has increased. If you use the 1/2 inch as that benchmark by 3-fold to accommodate changing weather patterns, as we know, weather is changing. We're seeing more frequent events, so it's not to say that this 1.5 inches will stay as such, but for now, that is the provincial standard that the tile drainage systems are designed to under the Drainage Act. Oh, right. And that's the standard where a provincial grant is available up to. So any standard above that drains are designed to, which could happen if the landowner requests, let's say, a 2-inch drainage coefficient design, grant is only applied to the first 1.5 inches of that.
So we're looking at $315,900 to do this. So can you give us a comparison on today's price versus before COVID, like 6 years ago? Has tile, drainage, installation, engineering, and all that escalated similar to construction costs? I know we're talking some construction here, but can you give us a thought on that?
Yeah, and maybe Steve can maybe add to it, but I feel as though construction has gone up. I feel as though through COVID, there was a peak where prices of materials really escalated, and same with installation costs, but I feel as though it's since come down, although the net result is that we're still a little bit higher than we were pre-COVID, but we've passed that real peak of where materials seem to be, kind of like some other things, kind of out of control expensive. But I think that's since back down. Do you have anything to add to that?
If I may, yeah. May I ask for the slide to come back with the pie chart there? Just showing that for a second. So the gray, one more back, that one there. The gray wedge represents the construction costs there. So the bulk of the project being the construction. I'd say pre-COVID, that would have been smaller. Fuel prices went crazy during COVID. And construction and labor did too. Concrete materials, which is what we're proposing for the most part, concrete surprisingly did not fluctuate that much. So things like steel and plastic did, but concrete stayed fairly stable. It just didn't move as much as other stuff. But that wedge, I'd say, like the project would have been smaller pre-COVID, all in that construction wedge.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Is there any members of the public? No questions, no comments, because we're going to move along. There's no petitions, nothing like that, Anne Lane. So I'm going to state that the council must decide whether or not to proceed with this project by provisionally adopting the engineer's report by bylaw or referring the report back to the engineer for modifications. There's no
May I
right.
interrupt for one? There is a petition for this job.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Yeah, so there will be you need to extend an opportunity to the public to add or remove their name prior
Okay.
to doing the provisional bylaw.
All right, so then I will do that right now. There is a petition. Thank you. So I'm going to read this then. I'm going to ask if there's any members of the public who wish to add or remove their name from the petition. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move ahead then. I'm going to start again. I'm going to state that the council must decide whether or not to proceed with this project by provisionally adopting the engineer's report by bylaw or referring the report back to the engineer for modifications. There is no right to appeal assessments or other aspects of the engineer's report at this meeting. These appeal rights will be made available later in the procedure.
Through you, Chair Turton, I just note that a bylaw will be presented during open session for council to consider.
Okay, so we'll consider the bylaw later. And so if there's no further questions, I'm going to officially adjourn the public meeting, considering the engineer's report drain number 120.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. So it's the end of that public meeting. We're going to continue on with our meeting. So if any of you folks, you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, or if you want to leave, or whatever you want to do, it's your preference. So you can leave now if you want. I know, Pef, you might want to stay. Okay, so we have a delegation this afternoon, and I'll ask Tanya Robertson to present the delegation.
Good afternoon. Through you, Mayor Turton, to members of council. Once again, we had another very successful Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament. We had a full tournament once again, and for the first time ever in the history of the Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament, we had a tie for the winning team. And this resulted in a very exciting chip in to win on the 18th hole following dinner. The groups chosen to benefit in 2024 provide a wide range of services to the town of Minto, including but not limited to support to improve our community for all residents to enjoy, creating meaningful connections with our youth, and celebrating and showing our railway history. Mayor Turton has often spoke about the importance of volunteers and the impact that they have on our community, and so it is my pleasure to present the proceeds from this year's tournament to the very deserving individuals who are here with us today. With the support of the community and the golfers who return year after year, we managed to raise enough money to present each group with a donation of $4,500 to be used towards their initiatives of their choosing. I would like to invite the groups to tell you a little bit about what they will use the money for, and then we will get a group photo. First, I'll have Randy and Trish with the Clifford Rotary Club.
Thank you. Greetings from the Clifford Rotary Club. Randy and Trish Ritz representing. We just wanted to thank everybody involved in the Mayor's Golf Tournament and giving us this opportunity to share in the proceeds. The Clifford Rotary Club decided this year to put in a cement pad for some handicap parking and hopefully doubling as a outdoor pickle court in this coming summer. So the money's already been spent, so it's good to get the check. One other thing I just wanted to mention is the organization of the day. Tanya just seems to be able to run this thing like nobody's business. And we just wanted to say, we've been involved in some other stuff, and this is one of the smoothest days it's been run. So again, we appreciate everything. We thank you for your support, and we look forward to finishing our projects.
Well, thank you, Randy and Tricia. I mean, Clifford wouldn't be the same without the Rotary Club up in Clifford and all the volunteers and the support from you two folks and all the other Rotarians. And you're very welcome. Thank you for the kind remarks, Tanya. I echo them as well. Our volunteers in Minto are second to none. So thank you. And I know you'll put that money to good use.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Big Brothers Big Sisters of North Wellington with Warren and Mary Ann.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who has been involved with the Mayor's Golf Tournament. It was a wonderful day, and we are very pleased to be part and chosen to be a recipient. The funding that we will receive today will go towards our mentoring programs that we offer for kids and youth in our community. It will bring an impact of helping kids towards mental health. With the matches that we do, it gives them the opportunity to bring out the potential of the kids that we deal with, or that we work with. Yeah, and we also run group activities on a monthly basis, so our funding will go towards that as well. So just thank you very much.
No, Marianne, thank you. Thank you for being a part of this as well. We know the same thing. Youth is important to us, and I know that we look forward every year to March, when the Big Brothers Big Sisters bowling comes along. And when you talk about volunteers, you're standing beside a big volunteer in our community. So thank you both for being a part of this, and
Thank you.
we know you'll put the money to good use.
Thank you.
Tanya did do an absolutely fabulous job. So.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know
Absolutely. Thank you,
Tanya,
Tanya.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to thank her
Yeah.
as well.
Tanya will pass it on to somebody else. She needs to take credit for herself because she's a big part of this.
And last but not least, from the Palmerston Heritage Railway Museum, we have Bob McEachran.
I'm actually going to read some of this. First of all, good afternoon. Mrs. Gilbertson can't make it today. She's involved with, she's rather high up in the Legion in the Guelph area, and she's involved in that. On behalf of the Palmerston Railway Heritage Committee, I'd like to thank the organizers, and that may, the organizers of the Mayor's Annual Group Tournament for selecting us as a recipient of the tournament this year. These funds, and this is part of how this comes together, these funds help us meet the requirements of the Rural Economic Development Fund. So we need one to get the other. And it's also known as the RED grant, but it gets tied together. And if we can't get one, we can't get the other, and it's all part of how the town works together. Now, the money is being used to renovate a caboose. That's the back end of the train. And I'm sorry, I spend a lot of time explaining things about trains, and we're going to turn the caboose into a teaching pod. There's so many things that you can talk to young people about and visitors about how the whole economics of the community were tied to the railway. But because of the grant, we've been able to build steps, which thanks to Reg Deneen have been attached. We've fabricated bed springs, as you can't buy them anymore. And they've been painted and they'll be attached soon. We have put a roof on, thanks to the Lions Club. Again, all part of the volunteers and tying things together. We've been able to provide the money. The Lions are doing a great deal of the work. And as of about an hour ago, talking to Greg, weather permitting, we'll start painting these cars tomorrow. So things are coming together. We have the 150th coming soon, and we hope to have everything ready for that event. So again, thank you very much for what you've done for the Palmerston Railway Heritage Committee. And we're all welcome to visit the station. At the moment, we're closed down, but you can always make a phone call and I'm available. But thank you again very much, Council.
Thank you, Bob. Same thing goes to you and your committee. You've been a huge part of that whole reconstruction of the every part of that railway museum. And I mean, without you pushing, we thank you for that, because that's a good thing. Without you pushing, why we might not be as far as we are. And goes without saying the amount of that the Lions have been a part of that operation, and the partnership between the town and the committee. It's just it's really looking quite nice over there. And anybody that hasn't been down through the park and into the museum, it's likely time you did. So thank you. Thanks for coming.
Sure.
You're tightened up nice and close. Yeah, for sure.
So next up is question period. Public question period. Pardon me? So if there's no public questions, then I'm not going to read some preamble. We're going to head on. We'll head on to correspondence. We have correspondence received for information or requiring direction of the council. We have a recommendation moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, second by Councillor Zimmerman. The council received the correspondence as information. Unless there's something that we want to bring out and talk about. I think the Saugeen Maitland Valley, those three items are minutes. Go ahead, Councillor Dirksen?
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. I just wanted to highlight item H, the Big Dig, the business and the public information. I've seen some fuss on Facebook, people wondering what's going on, and if you want to know what's going on, those would be good information sessions to attend and find out.
Certainly, so we can talk about those two sessions right now. We have two sessions. We're having a Palmerston business meeting. Anybody that has business and wants to come out to the Palmerston Arena on October 30th at 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to 9:30. We'll have a continental breakfast provided. But it's going to take an RSVP to www.mintochamber or .on.ca. So if you're coming, we need to plan food. And so speak up. I mean, even if you don't have these numbers, any questions related to the project, contact Belinda and phone the town office for anybody that needs to do that. And the second one is a Big Dig public information session. It's at the Palmerston Arena, October the 30th as well, from 5 to 8. Same thing, for more information, you can phone the office or phone Belinda. And I don't believe that requires an RSVP because there's no food. So this is a Big Dig, the summer, the year of 2026. It's a year and a half away or so, but we're certainly beginning to plan. So it's important that we talk about it. So I am sure that we'll see that on Facebook, possibly some Instagram stuff, or the chamber will certainly be talking about it as well, and that information will get out there because it's important to everybody. Anything else that we want to discuss on the correspondence? All right, all in favor of the correspondence being received for information? That's carried, thank you. I'm going to pass the chair to Councillor Elliott for committee minutes of Community Services Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. I appreciate it. Got some pretty exciting news that and information that Matt will bring forward to us and on behalf of our committee. Matt, go ahead.
Right on. Thank you, Councillor Elliott. So we met twice last month at the Clifford Arena and the Palmerston Arena, with most of the discussion being around the recreation plan. So on September 9th in Clifford, the committee reviewed the initial draft with staff, with their feedback being relayed to Andy Goldie at MGA Consulting. And on September 23rd, Andy joined us at the Palmerston Arena to review the updated version of the plan, which included a nice slideshow presentation. The committee reviewed and gave more feedback and insight, and we now await the third draft for review. Prior to adjourning, we also reviewed the Community Sport and Infrastructure Fund, and the committee liked the idea of putting an application in for it. And there's a staff report to follow that outlines this opportunity in more detail.
That's it.
That's it.
Pretty nice. So pretty exciting that we're moving ahead. We would move ahead with this. So I have a motion. It's moved by Councillor Gunson and seconded by Councillor Dirksen that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report CS 2024.
Through you, Councillor Elliott, I believe it is Zimmerman and Dirksen to receive the minutes. I think you're just, yeah,
Councillor Gunson and Councillor Dirksen. Didn't I say that?
no.
We've got two motions.
The motion for the minutes.
Oh, that the council receives the Community Service Advisory Committee meeting minutes of September 9th, 2024, and September 23rd, 2024, as information and approves the recommendation contained therein. Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? I believe I have a second motion. Almost done. That the Council of Town of Minto hereby receives report CS 2024 and 004, Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund prepared by the Director of Community Services for information purposes. And further, that the council of the town of Minto approves a resolution supporting an application for the Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund. Any questions? Councillor Dirksen.
Are we going to let Matt Lubers bring that report first?
I thought we did that. I thought you finished with the whole report.
No, I'm sorry, Councillor Elliott. I was just speaking to the
It's kind of
minutes there.
strange that we're doing two reports on one report. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Councillor Elliott. So as noted in the report, there's a new provincial community sport and recreation infrastructure fund that we'd like to apply for. To proceed, we need a resolution of support from council to include with the application. There's two streams and there's 200 million from the province in funding that covers both. We believe this grant will be highly competitive, but we're optimistic our application will be viewed favorably. Prior to the grant announcement, we have held discussions with the Rotary Club of Clifford to discuss the viability of a splash pad in Clifford. So these conversations, along with the timing of this grant announcement and Rotary's willingness to make a contribution towards this project, make this something worth applying for from our perspective. We're hopeful to receive the grant to make this a reality as early as next year. But if not, we'll need to go back to the drawing board and pursue grants and other funding opportunities. Back to you, Ron.
Yeah. For your information, the reason I thought it was all in one motion, because it was all part of the committee meeting, so I assumed that you were going to put it all into one. That's why I moved ahead mistakenly, which I should have figured that out. Anyhow, I think it's very exciting. I think we got a great opportunity to move forward for something again. The last time we put in for a recreation grant was Palmerston Arena, and we were successful in that. And I think we got Matt Ray as a great proponent of helping us to receive those grants. And I think because it's not a huge amount, like they'll want, a lot of communities will want $20 million for an arena and such like. So I think we'll get they like to spread it around. So I think we will get that. And thanks for applying it. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Mr.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the application is October 29th? It's not far away, is it?
It's October the 1st already, Mayor Turton. So we've got some work to do if you endorse this.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I've read the motion. All in favor of the motion?
Good
Carried.
luck.
And I'll turn it back to Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. We'll move right along here to the ACDEV report, 2024-015 signage grant, H35 for Scoopit, 30 Laura Street South in Harrison. And I'll ask Annalee to present the report.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. In Belinda's absence, I will provide her reports. These are for grants. This first one is for a signage grant, as you said, at Scoopit at 30 Laura Street South in Harrison. They're currently undergoing a facade restoration and now are looking to replace their existing signage. Scoopit's been a long established business in our downtown core. As the next economic development and planning meeting is not until December 5th, and to be able to maintain efficiency and decrease red tape and unnecessary delays, that's why this application was reviewed and approved by the committee via email on September 20th. And they are asking for a grant of, $433.20.
Recommendation moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Gutson, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report ACDEV 2024-015 signage grant H35 for Scoopit, 30 Laura Street South in Harrison, prepared by the Director of Economic and Community Development for information purposes. And further, that the Council of the Town of Minto approves the signage grant H35 for $433.20. Questions for Annalee? I'm going to call the question. All in favor of that motion? Thank you. That's carried. Second item then, Annaleen is the Martin Winja, 8 and 10 Elora Street South in Hairston for a structural grant.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Turton. Martin Wanya is the owner of 8 and 10 Elora Street. These properties are home of A to Z, as well as used for storage for Atchison PharmaSave. They are looking to, it's a relatively minor in cost, but it's significant in terms. It's going to be for roofing. He did apply for a small structural grant in 2023 to replace the windows on the second floor and had received a grant at that time. Again, this went to the committee via email on September 20th, 2024. Being that's a rather minor structural improvement, staff are supportive of a grant of $3,000. If this grant is approved, there will still be over $33,000 left in the CIP budget for 2024.
So that recommendation moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Zimmerman, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report ECDF 2024-016, structural grant Martin Winja, 8 and 10 Elora Street South Hairston, prepared by the Director, Economic and Community Development for information purposes. And further that the Council of the Town of Minto approve structural grant H14 for $3,000. Questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The last one then is the structural grant for PO8, Cayman Solutions, Inc., 234 Main Street West, Palmerston. Annaleen, will you present this report, please? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The work proposed for this project includes improvements related to fire safety and energy efficiency. Mr. Mitchell is planning on doing the work himself, so the only eligible expenses are those related to the materials. And again, this went via email on September 26th and to the committee. He is looking for a structural grant of $1,803.23.
Okay, so recommendation moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report ECDF 2024-17, structural grant PO8, Cayman Solutions, Inc., 234 Main Street, Palmerston, prepared by Director of Economic and Community Development for information purposes, and further that the Council and the Town of Minto approves structural grant PO8 for $1,803.23. Questions? All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. It's really nice to see that money go into a good use. Going to pass the chair to Councillor Gunson.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. So Public Works, we have one report this afternoon, municipal drain 13 improvement requests. Ryan is here this afternoon to present that report.
Thank you, Councillor Gunson. Staff has received a Section 78 request for improvement under the Drainage Act for Municipal Drain 13. The intended improvement is to improve the drain's functionality. It is the farmer is requesting better outlet. The area requesting the improvements are concession 4, lots 19 and 20, shown in the area there highlighted in yellow. The drain is believed to be created back in 1886, and over the years has seen multiple improvements, but never to this section of the drain. The major concern on this section of the drain is actually created because of a high pressure gas main that is cutting off drainage in the ditch. So this improvement project should address that concern and hopefully improve the outlet for this farmer. I guess I'll read or do you want to read the recommendation?
Yeah, I'll read that. Thanks, Ryan. I'll read the recommendation moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report PW 2024-021, Municipal Drain 13 Improvement Requests, prepared by the Drainage Superintendent for information purposes, and further that the Council of the Town of Minto appoints Headway Engineering to represent the Town of Minto in accordance with the Drainage Act. Any questions for Ryan? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you, that is passed. I'm going to pass the chair to Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gunson. And I'm going to pass the microphone or the speaking duties over to Chief Harrow to discuss our open air burning bylaw. Certainly it's been updated. Sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Anderson. Yeah, we're just bringing to you an open air burning bylaw update. Our goal is to put the 3 burning bylaws in the 3 municipalities that we look after with Mapleton, Wellington North, and Minto, that all the burning bylaws are similar, so the rules are the same for all 3 municipalities. For the Minto one, there's not significant changes. We just changed some of the distances you have to be from structures, and some of the other terminology relating to humidex warnings and wind speed, when you can and cannot burn with that. But no significant changes that way to the bylaw. The significant change that we have is we're moving towards an online burn permit software. So what that'll do is allow residents to be able to go online on their computer and fill out their own burn permit. And it will then come to our system and we'll be able to follow it. It will also then go to the tablets or our we call them MDTs in the truck, the mobile data terminals. The firefighters are responding, we're able to see it on that program as well, be able to track burn permits as they're going to a call to see if there's a burn permit in the area. So it'll help us. For those that do not have computers or internet or able to access it, they are still able to call into the municipal office the old way, and our staff will then we'll fill out the stuff online for them and make sure that it's registered in the system. So that way will still be available, but for the majority of people, they'll be able to do it all by themselves online. So it will give us a lot better data capabilities to track where the burn permits are going, how many there are out there, and that type of thing. So, and by combining the software with the 3 municipalities, it's only going to cost us about $500 annually to have this software available. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. I'll read the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives Report Fire 2024-006 regarding the open air burning bylaw update prepared by the Fire Services Management Team for information purposes. And further, that the Council of the Town of Minto pass a bylaw in open session adopting the new open air burning bylaw effective January 1st, 2025, and repeals bylaw 2015-54 as of January 1st, 2025. Are there any questions? Mr. Elliott.
What would require me to get a burning permit? What do I have? What do I burn or what?
For councillors, nothing. We're not allowing that to happen. So
Yeah, pretty well burned myself anyway, but.
But no, for yourself, in town, there is very restricted. You cannot burn garbage. You cannot have burn barrels. You're allowed to have a campfire in your backyard as long as it meets the distances from structures. So there's no open air burning per se in the urban areas. It's more for the rural areas that can burn clean wood. There's a list of the stuff that they're allowed to burn. Garbage and tires and plastics that are not allowed to be burned. So,
Thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll ask the question. All those in favor, raise their hand. And that's passed. Moving on to the second item, also to be presented by Chief Harrow, an update on the specialty rescue team.
thanks again, Deputy Mayor Anderson. Yeah, this is kind of some sad news, but I can't remember. It's been so long. I think it was 2015, 2016. We started on the road of doing a specialty rescue team, which came out of our second edition of our master fire plan that we did. So we put together a water rescue team and a confined space team. Fast forward to now, Ontario has introduced new standards that we follow. So we're following the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA standards for Ontario. So it's mandatory certification. If you want to do this job in the fire service, you have to be certified to the NFPA level, which is good. The fire service has been asking that for a long time, but unfortunately there's some ramifications to it. So in order for us to have our water rescue team in particular and confined space team, all of our members that are on the team must be certified to the NFPA guidelines. which would require them to take quite a few disciplines in water rescue, totaling approximately 160 hours of training to be initially certified, and then up to 20 to 40 hours, probably closer to 40 hours every year to keep their certification up. So talking to firefighters, we've had many meetings with the firefighters, the officers, and it's just a lot to ask of the firefighters to get this training and to dedicate themselves to do that. So at this point, we've suspended our teams. So we do not have a water rescue team and we do not have a confined space team. And we're looking at options with our partners in Wellington North and Mapleton to see if there's something that we can do. But there's still a sticking point of this is a lot of demand that we have to ask of our firefighters to get this training and maintain that training, as well as do all their other training that's expected of them, and keep that up to be able to provide the service. So we've done this in Mapleton. We went to council and explained that and done a similar thing there. And we're doing it here. We have to eventually change our establishing and regulating bylaw. That is what council authorizes services that the fire department provides to the citizens. That's what our ENR bylaw is. We have to change that to say that we no longer, as the Minto Fire Department, offer water rescue or confined space services to our residents because we're not certified or trained in that discipline. We will proceed, and you'll have an agreement come to you at a future council meeting from Center Wellington that we will sign an agreement with them that they are automatically dispatched with us to attend with their water rescue team that is fully certified to come up and perform that if we need that. So fortunately for us, they have to have a water rescue team so that we can use their services, and it will be a fee for service. So if we use them, we have to pay for it. But with the gorge there, they do approximately 12 to 20 calls every year in the gorge. So they have to do that for their risk assessment, which has showed them that's a huge risk for their municipality. So it's unfortunate, but we have had a lot of discussions, and this is not a surprise to our firefighters. And I thank the firefighters for being open and honest and looking at this constructively to see, whether this is something they can tackle or something that they just don't have time for. So I'll take any questions.
I'm going to read the resolution, and then we can move on to questions. So it was moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives Report Fire 2024-007 regarding the Specialty Rescue Team update prepared by the Director of Emergency Services for information purposes. Any questions? Or Mayor Turton?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So a number of years ago, we had 7 or 8 inches of water in town for quickly in Hairston. And when your guys had to go somewhere to shut the hydro off or into the water or have somebody go in or rescue somebody, how's that work now?
So right now, then we would have Center Wellington come up and do that. And that's actually one of the easier scenarios because for the flooding issues that we have in Hairston, that is predictable. It is an emergency, but it's not a dire emergency. So we have what we've figured after that flood, we have about 2 hours warning upstream from flow levels with the flow meters that MVCA has put in. So we would have time to assemble their team up here as long as they're available to be ready to do anything that we would need to do with that. But that is another thing that we highlighted, that there's different disciplines in water rescue, and one is called static water, which is like your lakes or ponds that there's no movement. It's just static water that we could go out in, and that's what we were formerly trained to. What we learned with the new standards is that water that we do with the floods, that's actually swift water because it's got a flow to it, and we're not trained. We have done no training in swift water rescue, which is a whole different discipline to train in as well. So
I mean, you can look at it a couple of ways. I'm thinking back when we in 17, 16, 15, whatever, our fire service came to council and said we likely need to be confined space trained or water rescue trained, and now things have changed, right? So I mean, we really need to honor your thoughts. You talking with our firefighters is a good thing, because I mean it's all about getting yourself into something that you might not be able to fulfill, especially the water, and those two are big. So, I mean, just a comment.
Yeah. And I'll just back up your comment. The Fire Marshal's office, the Ontario Fire Marshal's office, has said that they've brought down communications to us that if you're going to offer a service, you have to offer it properly. Not you can't dabble in it or say that you're going to do something and then don't do it properly. So that has been a warning that was to us, and again, it caused us all to look at our programs and say, well, we have to be doing it, and we have to be doing it extremely well to be proficient at it.
Yeah, we need to listen to our people. So, I mean, it's 160 hours per person. That's ludicrous. So,
Councillor Elliott?
You said something that kind of stuck with me, and you said if Alora is available, what happens if they're not and we need them?
Then we could move on to Guelph. The city of Guelph has water rescue, so then we would move on to city of Guelph and get them to come out. And we're also looking at an agreement with Hanover. Hanover has a water rescue, certified water rescue team. So we're also looking at doing that to cover, especially the top end of Minto, that would be quicker. So we're looking at doing that. So we would have 2 to 3 agreements that would be able to cover us all. But in the flood situation, it's just hopefully we don't ever have a flood situation again. But hopefully, if we flood, then Fergus isn't flooding at the same time.
Thank you.
So I just have a question or a comment as well. So when we talk about these partnerships and we're looking at dispatch, if you're in an area where you don't have proximity to areas that might have that service as well, is there a province-wide system where dispatch goes like, and at some point in time, you're going to get to where the distance is prohibitive. You're not going to get there in time to do anything anyway, particularly if it's water. Is there a provincial-wide strategy on how to deal with that as the standards get higher and higher and more unattainable?
Unfortunately, at this time, no, there's not. There is a provincial, what's called HUSAR team, Heavy Urban Search and Rescue.
Yeah.
And that's out of Toronto. So that is a provincial team that's funded by the province. So if we had a major structure collapse due to tornadoes or that, we can call the HUSAR team in.
Okay.
But there is no provincial resources for water, rescue confined space, trench rescue, high angle rescue, all of those specialty ones. There's no. So it's up to each municipality, and this is the direction we've been given by the Fire Marshal's office. It's up to each municipality to figure it out and sign the appropriate agreements with who you can. So a lot of areas, especially in Northern Ontario, are looking at, like I'll take, for example, up north with Sudbury would be their closest one. And then Sudbury or Thunder Bay would cover, if they choose to sign an agreement, would have a significant area that they might have to go out in. That being said, when we've done our risk assessment, it is a very low risk because of data of previous call history. We don't have many calls regarding those two things. So
Sure, I understand that, but it looks like it's pretty interesting. You better make some choices when you're moving up to those areas because you're not going to have any coverage. It must have some impact on the municipalities from a cost perspective, insurance perspective.
Yep, it's a liability perspective on our part. It's being honest with our citizens to say what services our fire department can actually offer. We can't offer every single service. If we can't do the high angle, we can't do trench rescue. So that's what these are about. So to sign the agreements to say we have it, but
I totally understand that. We appreciate what our fire services does for us now, and it is asking a lot of people on a volunteer basis. I'm always fascinated by the volunteer fire structure and what people give up to provide that for our communities. They are to be commended. But okay, thank you very much. I will ask the question though. All those in favor of that? And that's passed. And I will pass the chair back to Mayor Turton.
thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Anderson. So we'll move into the land leases, the agricultural land RFQ, Clerk 2024-011, and I'll ask Annalene McRobb to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. This is further to the report that came forward on August 13th in regards to the updated lease agreement land policy. We did go forward with a request for quotation. As you can see, the bids were received, and I am requesting that the highlighted bids be accepted for those agricultural lands. Just to let you know that we will receive close to $12,000 plus HST per year for the 75.5 acres, whereas for this year, we received $7,180 for the year. So it's an increase of a little over $4,700 per year that we will be receiving on these lands.
So I have a motion, recommendation by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives report clerk 2024-009 on the lease agricultural land RFQ prepared by the clerk for information purposes. And further that the Council of the Town of Minto awards the lease of that agricultural land to the highest bidders as outlined in the report. And further that the Council of the Town of Minto authorizes the clerk to sign an individual agricultural land leases agreement on behalf of the corporation. Questions? Go ahead, Councillor Elliott.
Again, I'm just wondering about what kind of money would we get if we sold 75.5 acres of agricultural land?
If we sold the land,
Instead of leasing it.
I wouldn't be able to give you a cost amount on that land at all. I do know that one of them is landlocked. Also, the Harrison Cemetery land is land that we may end up eventually using to expand our cemetery, so it's not something that we probably want to sell. And as well, with the Harrison Lagoon, the 48 acres, there may be additional needs for it for the town.
Okay, the only reason I'm thinking sometimes we could sell land and buy other lands that's more of use to our community. Take the money that we receive from that. We're getting low on industrial land again. Maybe we need to buy some more industrial property. That's things I don't know for sure. That's what our needs are. Maybe we could look at that. If there's a need for it, we sell some property, get some money back to be able to buy what we need. So thoughts in the future.
It's possible that there's one young man in the council chambers. What's land going? Good Hairston loam soil going for these days with no buildings in Minto? Mr. Puffer, put you on the spot. So that gives you an idea, 24,000 minimum.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
Thanks.
Other questions for our clerk? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of that motion? Thank you very much. That's carried. And now we're going to move into announcements, and I'll have Councillor Elliott start the announcements.
Holy cow. I did write some stuff down this time, imagine. Probably the first thing I want to speak about, last weekend, I was governor in 2010 and governor of Lions Club, and it's a district, A9, which is a huge district. Across Ontario, we have 10 governors that were available at that time. So each year since 2010, this governor's group have got together sort of have a reunion to get along with it. A lot of them I couldn't go to because of council business and such like. So they Facebooked me from the last one and said, you're going to be here because you're hosting it in Palmerston. And it is the Palmerston Lions. So we booked the King Hotel. 6 out of 10 of them could come. On Saturday morning, we took them to the farmer's market, and then we got our little train, thanks to Greg for getting it out for us. And we took all of them for a drive through the park in different areas up to the Lions Den and such like, and show them all what the town and the Lions Club and different organizations have done on that property and such like. And they were quite amazed. Then we jumped in our van and we took them for a ride to the ball fields and took them for a ride over the different aspects of Lawrence Park and the arena, and saw how we made the arena more accessible. We got 8 dressing rooms to host a tournament such as like, and they were just kind of an awe. You could see that. They took all kinds of pictures and stuff. So I got this email back from one of the governors, and I know they were all thinking the same. Thank you for hosting this year's reunion. It is just amazing to see how the Lions and the town of Minto work. Too bad more communities couldn't work like that. And that's so true about our economic development, so true about all our staff and our council that work together to make things for service clubs and try and work together to do things. And it's a real good mix. And I'm telling you, all of them haven't got that kind of community service that we got. So I wanted to bring that, a thank you to Town of Minto, and thank you to all for what they've done. Because even me, when I went around, I went, wow, this is something that we got in our community. So what else did I have?
81.
Matt Ray. We had a Red Grant presentation on Thursday. The mayor couldn't make it because he was at county council. So, and the deputy mayor couldn't make it either. So I filled in for the spot. And it's just amazing again. Bob was talking about caboose and such like. Well, the grant was to repair all those stuff. You don't have the number. Andy, you know the number what the grant was?
Almost 12.
Was it? Yeah. Okay, whatever it was. Anyhow, it was very, very exciting that he would do that. I had just teased him the month before that we're probably not going to get any more money because from a rec grant, because the first rec grant around, we got money. So I was quite happy with Matthew Ray for bringing that forward with and getting this red grant, and it'll make that a lot better situation there. And and Palmerston 81s will be opening their senior AA OEC, whatever they are, All Ontario Championship run again, and they're opening their game on October 19th, and everybody's welcome to come. They put together, I believe, with what I've heard and what I've seen, they're going to have a better team than they had last year, and they won the championship last year. In the final series, they won 4-0. But and Seaforth was their biggest challenge. So I think they're going to have a great year. I also was talking to Mr. Gunson here, and he says minor hockey are going to have a really good turnout this year. You can maybe elaborate on that. So anyhow, that's all.
Councillor Elliott, do you have any family members on that team this year?
I believe my grandson is probably the best player in Ontario. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Gunson?
No, none whatsoever.
Well, I had nothing, but Veron's put me on the spot for minor hockey, so we're still just finishing up tryouts, but minor hockey's in full swing, and kudos to the rec staff for giving us good times for the ice and everything. They work great with them. So games are starting soon, probably middle of October, so if you want to see some kids play hockey, come on out to Palmerston and Harriston. That's all I got.
Minto Minor Hockey, how good is their website at keeping up to date games that the different teams are playing?
We've got a great website guy now, Devin Ellis. He's on it. Yeah, he's on it. He's doing a great job, so.
Councillor Dirksen?
I have nothing today, thank you. Really?
Councillor Zimmerman?
Oh, thank you, Mayor Turton. So last council meeting, I had made mention, excuse me, of a Halloween contest that the Clifford Connects Committee put together, and I've got some further information regarding that. So it's called Creatures of Clifford Halloween Contest, and we're asking all the residents in Clifford to go online at cliffordconnects.ca and register your house if you want it voted on or judged, and that goes for businesses as well. We've got 4 different prizes of $50 Think Minto First gift cards. The categories will be most creative display, the scariest display, best display incorporating creatures, and of course the best business display. And I'm gonna put the council on the spot here. We are in need of some unbiased judges, and I'm asking council, I will be one of the judges. I'm asking maybe 2 other council members if they would volunteer to judge. Come on.
Sure, Councillor Potnovitz would help.
He's not here.
What do you think, Ed? He says yes.
I'll certainly help if he isn't interested.
Okay, you're
Okay,
on.
So you've got
Thank you.
3.
The judging will be between October 25th and 28th, so we'll figure out a night and take a drive, and we'll make it happen. The winners will be announced on the 30th via their social media channels.
Okay, so Councillor Zimmerman, do you want to talk about the billboard in Tiviotdale? I'm sure you do.
Well, I do, but I wasn't there, unfortunately. I was away, so you could
Okay.
probably have
Sure.
better highlights.
Deputy Mayor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you. Just want to speak about Culture Days briefly. I wasn't at most of the activities of Culture Days because I was working, but we had a great gathering out at the farm for apples and astronomy. I don't know, about 50, 60 people. Gord had his telescope set up and they got to watch or see Saturn and other galaxies afar. It's always a good night out there. So those activities are pretty much done, but hopefully people got out and managed to enjoy some of them or attend some of them because the town staff do a great job of promoting those and organizing them. And kudos to Belinda and Aaron and Caitlin and all those gals and guys who get it all organized for us. And I think our Christmas dinner will be coming up. We're just starting to talk about that, but that is coming ahead this year. If anybody's looking to volunteer or if anybody'd like to be involved in sort of taking it over, I need to do some succession planning for this dinner, but I haven't heard any takers so far. I keep throwing it out there. But
Well,
anyway.
Maybe Councillor Potnovitz might.
He says no.
Halloween judging's one thing, a Christmas dinner's another. That's all I've got.
Yes, sure. Thank you. So a couple things in reference to the history billboard at Tiviotdale. I challenge everyone, if you haven't stopped in at the gas bar restaurant, it's in behind. It's really quite interesting when you stand and read the history of Tiviotdale. And we got to thank our volunteers down there. Too many to name, but I think Mr. Wayne Martin was one of the leaders on it, and he got a lot of help from the businesses and other volunteers, and it's really neat to see exactly what was at those corners 100 years ago. So, second thing, I just wanted to congratulate the DEI committee in the Truth and Reconciliation event last Wednesday night. We had our guest speaker was Christian Dennis, and he was excellent at it. And we had somewhere between 60 and 75 people there. So thank you
And
for.
the ice cream was delicious too.
What kind of ice cream was that?
Sweetgrass.
Okay. Last thing I'd just like to point out, we had a young lady in the town of Minto was accepted the Neil Dunsmore Power of One Award presentation from Here for Hope on the last Thursday. The County of Wellington, we had a counselor from there a few years ago by the name of Neil Dunsmore. Went for a long walk for mental health. And so every year for the last number of years, he's the county has given the award to somebody that's shown an effort in that. And this year it was Chantel Kozlug. She's a nurse practitioner with the Minto Mapleton Health Team. And I'm sure everyone has read that in the advertiser because it was really a touching story. How the young lady that she was working with, how she put those words together, and it was pretty interesting. And we just congratulate Chantel. So she was a lovely recipient. She was overwhelmed, and it was exciting at the council meeting down there. So, anything else? Okay, we're going to move along. We have a resolution moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Committee of the Whole convene in regular council. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Notices of motion. So there was a notice of motion put on the floor last meeting by myself, just discussing council meetings with other municipalities. I wondered whether it was time we went to 2 we change our structure and go to 2 afternoon council meetings for some reasons which I will put on paper for next meeting. How's that?
Perfect, yes. So this will be discussed at the next meeting.
So will you entertain a question from Councillor Dirksen?
Certainly.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's going to be a staff report showing a cost benefit and some
So-
of that information. I'd love to see some numbers on it.
Thank you. Through Mayor Turton to you, we do not do a report for this at this time, as it is a notice of motion by a member of council. A motion could come forward out of that notice of motion, that a staff report come forward or that information come forward in regards to that. So until the notice of motion is actually considered by council on if they want to even go forward with discussing that, we do not do a report.
So sorry, can I ask another question?
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Dirksen.
So the notice of motion was made last time, though. Does it not get discussed tonight?
So the procedural bylaw states that the notice of motion must go on, must come to the clerk prior to the agenda going out. So
and
that's now this one.
Oh, I see.
Right,
okay.
although the mayor did provide it to me, it must go on the agenda. So that's this time here in written format, and then is considered at the next meeting.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
So at the next meeting, go ahead,
Just
Councillor
a
Elliott.
quick understanding. So our next meeting, notice of motion comes forward, we have information that we may put together.
No.
So that we have, or would there be no information whatsoever?
You can have information that the mayor may provide for you
Okay.
at that time to consider the notice of motion. And again, it's his notice of motion, it's not the staff's notice of motion. And there can be a motion made that further information come from staff or whatever council wishes to do.
So our next meeting, could we take that notice of motion and turn it into a motion after the fact? Or do we have to wait to another meeting to make the motion?
The notice of motion is that the council of the town to review the schedule and consider changes. So, I mean, it's pretty innocuous. It's not actually setting out the dates that are going to be changed and stuff. So once that motion is made, then a staff report could come forward with more information.
So another meeting.
So this is like we heard.
It is, notice of motions are a slower way of getting information to you, yes.
Go ahead, Councillor Dirksen.
And so as I understand it, this is like we heard it the first time tonight then.
It's like you heard it for the first time
Right, so
tonight.
we're really.
That's correct.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks behind, but we're really not.
Right.
Right.
In accordance with the
Okay.
procedural bylaw, you must provide it to the clerk prior to the agenda going out.
Right.
And then it goes on written format on the
Right.
agenda.
Right, so if this is week 1, then that
This
makes
is week
sense.
1.
Yes, exactly. Okay,
I'm good
thank
with
you.
that. I'm usually 2 weeks behind, so.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I guess the question is, when was the last time we had a notice of motion? Don't answer that.
I don't remember ever having
Okay.
We
one.
have had them,
Alright.
but not for a long time.
So that's 2 weeks before.
All right, thank you. So I've got a resolution moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the council of the town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Bylaws. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that bylaws 2024-052 be read a first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. And 052 is the open burning bylaw. Any questions? All in favor of that motion? It's carried, thank you. Resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that bylaw 2024-053 be read a first, second time, and provisionally adopted in open council. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Confirmatory resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that bylaw 2024-054 to confirm the actions of the council of the corporation of the town of Minto respecting a meeting held October 1st, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. Resolution moved by Councillor Zimmerman, second by Councillor Elliott, that the Council of Town of Minto adjourn the meeting again at the call of the mayor. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you very much for a productive meeting. And thanks for staying, you guys. You're welcome anytime.